I'm concerned for Pokémon Legends Z-A. Now, I just did a video where I talked about Pokémon Legends Arceus and how that was one of the best Pokemon games I've ever played. How completely made me rethink how Pokemon games should be and how, it was so different to Pokemon mainline games, but it also kept everything important from mainline Pokemon games, like the Pokedex, the battling, and it just fine-tuned everything about mainline Pokemon games, and it really made Scarlet and Violet kind of unappealing to me because of how good Arceus was. So, that being said, you must think that I am excited for Pokemon Legends Z-A, and don't get me wrong, I am, but I'm pretty concerned. I'm kind of worried about it. And I've played Pokemon Legends Z-A already. Nintendo invited me out to PAX and they said, here you go, play a 15-minute demo. So I did. Half of the demo was me going around this city, battling other Pokemon, getting in a couple of trainer battles, finding some items around the city. And then the other half was me fighting a boss, which was very unique and different to Pokemon Legends Arceus. But let me tell you why I'm not really feeling this game the same way I was with Arceus. I think the most noticeable thing about Pokemon Legends Z-A has to be, at first glance, the visuals. Now, I did play it on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it does smooth out the frame rate, and it cranks that resolution up to 4K, which is good. I'm glad it's running at 4K, and I'm glad it's running at 60 frames per second. But it wasn't really the frame rate and the resolution that made this visually unappealing. It's the textures, it's the models, it's all the more technical graphical things. Like, this looks pretty bad. The buildings, especially, they just look janky. They look copy and pasted. And Beat 'em Ups did a video going really in depth on why this looks so bad. It brings up how things are just copy and pasted. The windows are the exact same on everything. The textures are lazily reused, and there's just really no texture in most of these assets in the main city, where it seems that most of the gameplay is going to be. And I noticed this as soon as the very first gameplay trailer was shown off. The grass looks completely flat with no texture, even less texture than Arceus. A lot of the game takes place at night, which, just gives it just not as colorful or welcoming in a way. And maybe that's a hot take, that it should feel welcoming or whatever, because these games are kind of eerie, especially if you look at Arceus. But this game just looks bland in a way. The city is super condensed from even what I played, and I'll get a little bit more to that a little bit later. But these graphics, they just aren't hitting it or making it stand out the way it should. Now, something I do need to keep reminding myself is the fact that this, yes, is a Nintendo Switch 1 game, so they really couldn't go all out with the Switch 2 graphics or all that, which is kind of why they're making the compromises of the Switch 2 edition. Like, if this was just on Nintendo Switch, I would have to imagine that there would be more blades of grass, there'd be higher definition textures, there'd be actual reflections off the windows and the glass. But at this point, I have no idea. I don't actually think they would. What am I even saying? Of course they wouldn't. It's Pokemon. We've already seen the first Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch 2 that's exclusive, Pokemon Pokopia, the one with Ditto, and that looks just as bad as this game. I think the graphics aren't as noticeably bad because it's not in a city, but it still just looks noticeably bad. The Pokemon Park game, or not Pokemon Park, Pokemon Pokopia, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't hit. Whereas some other games in cities do. Let's look at Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game for PS4. Let's look at that game. If you look at that game, most of it is in a city. Most of it is based on a city. Look at how good the city looks. There's reflections off of glass. There's crazy lighting from all places. And we know that the Switch 2 can handle everything the base PS4 could handle. So when I see games that look as bad as Pokemon Legends Z-A on the Nintendo Switch 2, it really just makes me feel icky. Like, this game could have looked so much better. And I know it's for the Switch 1, but still, why couldn't they make this graphically of a great game on the Switch 2 and then dialed it back for the Nintendo Switch 1? Maybe I'm asking too much here, and I totally get if I am, but this is just what I'm thinking. We shouldn't have to deal with these garbage-looking games anymore. And it's not even that it looks super bad by itself. Like, for a Pokemon game, it looks pretty good. But in comparison to even what Nintendo makes and all that, and to know that Pokemon is the most profitable, successful business IP ever, even more than Disney, and to have games that look this bad and lacking of polish and graphical fidelity, it just boggles my mind why they wouldn't put a little bit more effort into how these games look. Clearly, they've proven that graphics don't matter, but it would be nice, wouldn't it? But I think the most concerning thing isn't even the graphics themselves. Yes, that sucks, and I'm kind of disappointed with how it looks, as you can tell. But the most concerning thing has to be the gameplay. So I was playing this at PAX West, and there was just a lot of unpolished things about it. For example, before you fight this boss, you're supposed to be chasing this dog Pokemon, and everyone's like, quick, you gotta catch this Pokemon, you gotta go get it, we're gonna fight it. But for some reason during this sprinting and chase scene, they disabled the sprint button. You literally couldn't sprint. What is even the point of it being a chase scene? How come I can sprint in all those other parts of the game, but I can't sprint during the chase scene? Like, what the heck is happening? The even weirder thing is that while I'm chasing this dog, you can kind of see it running in front of me. And because I'm not sprinting, or because I'm not running, because Nintendo disabled the sprint, it's running and then it stops and it's waiting for you. And then it's running and then it stops because you're running so slow. It seems broken to me. This game seems broken. And there were even some UI elements that I didn't necessarily love. Like it looked fine, but I don't know. The fact that they had this sprinting thing with the dog at a demo where everyone's supposed to look at it and have their first impression of the game, and they added that? What in the world have we not seen? So I'm concerned about the polish of this game. But I'm also concerned about the environments of the game. So something I loved about Pokémon Legends Arceus is the fact that there were so many open world places to visit. You could go to this beach, and you can go to an open grassland. You can go to a mountain with snow and all that stuff. And Pokemon were littered throughout all these massive environments, and it was open world, and it was on the Switch 1 and not even on the Switch 2. It was all on the Switch 1, these big open worlds. They weren't all, I guess, necessarily open world. The whole game wasn't an open world game, but these levels, you could say, these maps were open enough that it felt open world. But with Pokémon Legends Z-A, I really have no idea how they plan to do this open world. From what I've seen, everything is based in the city. This is all in a condensed city. You're not visiting any winter area, you're not visiting any desert, no beach. It all just seems like the basic city, which seems very boring, and I think it's going to get stale pretty quick. Like, how different can you make a city? There's got to be other maps and stuff that you can go to, but will it even matter? Because it's all technically in the same place anyways. Now, maybe I just haven't seen it enough, or maybe they're purposefully not sharing that. It's just something that Pokemon Legends Arceus did so well that it makes me nervous that they're not showing any sort of big map or big open world like they had in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I guess it really just ties back to the polish. I really don't want this to be a drag. Like, I don't want there to be horrible cutscenes, or I don't know. I just thought that the Switch 1 version looked so mediocre, so bad in some cases, but also so good in some cases. And I really haven't seen any reason why this looks better than the Switch 1 version, aside from the Switch 2 edition's up-res 4K and 60 frames per second. Like, there's nothing that really stands out. Now, all this being said, yes, I'm concerned for the game, but I'm also really excited for the game. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I really, really enjoyed Pokemon Legends Arceus. So if I can just get more of that, I'm sure it's going to be a really fun game. The overall Pokemon gameness, like, you know, training your Pokemon, filling out your Pokedex, finding rare guys, and the whole battling system, like, there's good elements of this game that is going to carry over inherently because it's a Pokemon game. I just hope that it stands out next to the previous games. I especially hope that it's some sort of an improvement over the Nintendo Switch 1 Arceus game. So I'm excited. I'm going to pick it up on day one. I've got it pre-ordered, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this game. If you're excited, or if you're concerned, or how you're feeling about it. Or maybe I'm crazy. Let me know what you think. But I'm excited. And yeah, if you're new to this channel, like and subscribe even, perhaps. I hope to see you in the next one. See you later.